So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZW Games 5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below. What's up YouTube, Dara here from Several Games, bringing you an update to True King 6 Samurai. Now this deck has insane potential now that we are in Master Rule 5. This deck not only can produce a full hand loop, it can also either entirely lock your opponent down using the True King VFD engine, or it can also use the eternal loop of the gateway counters that can then lead, if you want it to, into the whole the king trap card that allows you to skip your opponent's main phase or their entire turn, or it can even lead you into the ability to pretty much continue to loop your opponent going to Zexal as well. So there's so much possibility with this deck, and what I've put together today is I've got the balance between VFD play and the hand loop. If you want to see the full hand loop combo, go check out J Money's video on YouTube. He knows it better than anybody. It's very, very long, but it is very, very consistent in the sense that you just pull your opponent's entire hand apart. And that's the only way that this deck can technically sort of dodge Nibiru and sort of dodge Dark Ruler no more. With this build right here, the idea is that you're going to either be able to hand loop your opponent or VFD them, shut them down for an entire turn, even if they Dark Ruler you as well. And then you'll still have maintained resources in order to go off again the next turn. With that being said, please smash the like button, hit the notification bell, and subscribe so you do not miss out on anything. If this video hits 50 likes, I will drop a combo and test hand video for you guys as well so you can see the full power of this deck. With that said and done, let's get on to today's profile of True King 6 Samurai. So with True King 6 Samurais, the main difference between the pure version and the loop version and the hand loop version is you actually main triple Fuma. Now this card with Diagram, even at 1, still being able to open up the Wind True King and pop in 1 if not 2 of these, sets you off incredibly. Like, you pop 2 of these, you get both their effects going off, plus your Wind True King gets to banish the top 4 cards of your opponent's deck. So you're already destroying like their top deck ability. Yes, you do deck fin them, but maybe the cards you banish are key cards that they need in order to get going. We then of course play Triple Kizan, you know, loop it, XYZ with it, synchro with it. It is just free fodder for the deck, simple as that. Tukizaru, you very rarely ever want to see this guy in your hand, but he is very, very good in the sense that he is the first target you bring off of your Fuma, and then your Fuma then triggers this. This will then search out your Fuma the first time you do it, and then the second time you do it, it searches you out the water or the fire. So it gives you more consistency to get that search going, so it means you save yourself counters later. And if you don't have 2 cards that can contain counters like the Field Spell and Dojo, you still have the ability to move your plays further forward. We'll then play double Shunai and double Mizuho. 2 is more than enough on these, especially in this build. You could arguably even cut them down to 1, one of them down to 1, because you need probably keep fire at 2, water at 1, depending on what True Kings you focus on the most. But 2 and 2 works out perfectly. I wouldn't cut them unless you absolutely have to. It is a 42 card deck, but this wouldn't be my first cut on that census. This gives you the loops. It's also water attributes and fire attributes for your True Kings as well. We've got the 1 Kigeki. It's not really required heavily in this deck. Yeah, it gets you 2 on board, so it does give you an early game if you've bricked, but then the idea is that your True Kings are going to save you from that brick, because all they need to do is either pop 1 Fuma and off you go. So as long as you've got the other attributes in hand, you can keep going consistently. 1 Grandmaster of the 6 Samurai is Earth. We have got Liversagan back. Don't know why. So whether Liversagan gets destroyed in the hand to special summon a True King from the graveyard, or whether you're just going to end up popping your Grandmaster and your Kizans in hand or on field, once you've already used their abilities, you can keep just looping them back to hand. You're going to have eternal fodder for those cards as well. Plus, the best thing is, you can also get this little guy out of your hand. So you don't want him in your hand. You want him to stay in deck at best possibility, but if he doesn't find his way to your hand, annoyingly, you just pop him. You pop him with Liversagan, put him in the graveyard, and then you, technically, if you've opened up well enough, you have the ability to not only banish the top 4 cards of your opponent's deck, but you can also, on the defensive first turn play, rip your opponent's extra deck apart as well. Then on the offensive side of it, you've got enough materials to do Agamazoo to banish a non-target banisher card, and then you also have Barastos, which if you've got enough water materials in hand, very, very thin, but if you do, you then get to rip your opponent's back row apart. So this is one of the very few decks that has so many different attributes that actually allows you to use and abuse the True King full effects and powers. We've then got the legendary Secret of Six Samurai, just a free summon. The one Hatsume, one is more than enough. You search it when you need to, you special summon it when you need to, and then obviously you use its banished effect to extend your board that little bit further as well. Then for the True Kings, we've got Triple Wind. This is obviously the most important one. Pop Fuma and anything else, or even if you pop itself, it'll then trigger to search you out another material. So you've got the ability, even without diagram, to get to your Lithosagan very, very consistently and quickly. Or you search out your Barastos as well, and then you kind of move your place from there. The best combo is this with Fuma and Barastos. Like, you do this, pop the Fuma, pop Barastos. Barastos gives you a True King, so straight away you've got VFD. So you can go VFD, use his effect. Your opponent is no longer from that point on going to be able to Ash you or pretty much Nibiru you. They're entirely shut down. So that is a way that you dodge Nibiru in your first turn quickly and easily without having to extend into Appaloosa. That being said, Fuma will then trigger. Fuma will then give you another monster as well. And then that will give you Kizaru. Kizaru will then search you out another Fuma or another piece. Not to mention, you then get to search off of your Mariamne. So your end board would technically be 2 level 9s plus a Kizaru, with a Fuma back in hand and another level 9. So what you can then do is you overlay the level 9s, go into VFD, just so you don't get Nibiru'd. Then you can use the one that you searched off Mariamne, which will probably be Lithosagan at that point. Lithosagan's effect to pop Fuma in hand, Kizaru on field. That then summons Lithosagan. That will then trigger Fuma. Fuma will then special summon Kizaru again. Kizaru will now only be locked into being able to take out... I'm pretty sure you can use it more than once. When it's called special, add one has a different attribute. Yeah, so you can activate it again. He'll only be locked out from searching darks and earths. So he can search you out the final Fuma if you want to, but you can actually special summon Fuma off of Isolde. So then all you really need to do, because you haven't even used your normal summon yet, is Kizaru can search you out any of the 6 Sams, so even Hatsume, and you'd have 2 Fumas in the graveyard. You can normal summon Hatsume, banish 2 off of your Hatsume, special summon 1, and then straight away you've got a synchro for an 8, or you can go into the General. General can then get you Gateway. It means your General's not going to be ashed because you've already used VFD, and you're going to have so much fodder to link up. Your Saruja is going to be free, all of your search are going to be free, you're going to get Gateway for free, complete lockdown and protection. It's insane. We've then got double Barastos, purely because this is the one that you want to pop most. Like I said, this with the combo is just insane, sets you off and going. The one Agamazoo, because you don't have that many fire attributes in the deck, you only run 2. Whereas its second effect isn't that great apart from recyclability. And the only ones you really want to cycle back to your hand are the Barastos and the Lithosagan. And then Lithosagan, we've already talked about this, absolute beast of a monster. So, player free. Then going into the spells, triple Xian Smoke Signal, search, 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 and search. So getting your Fuma to hand, that gives you another consistent route into your Fuma. It also gives you another consistent route into your Kageki. Should you brick hard, very rare that you do, the 9 out of 10, the target for this one will be Fuma. And then of course you've got your triple Dojo. This is part of the infinite loot combos. You do need this because it can contain more than 2. 6 Samurai United for your draw power. Again, because it's your draw power, you need it, you must have it, you need to play it. And then we've got double Temple. And I'm just going to do the field spells now. So you've got double Temple with the 1 Terraforming, the 1 Diagram, and the 1 Set Rotation, just because you want to get to Diagram as early as possible, but it also gives you another route to Temple should you not need it as well. And then of course we've got the 1 Gateway, powerful as anything. I would love to see this come back to free like it did in the OCG, but I highly, highly doubt it, sadly. We're lucky enough to have it at 1, to be fair. The 1 Monster Reborn to keep everything going. Now, the last card is optional, or the last 2 cards I'll show you are optional. So we've got the 1 Overdone Burial, purely because I prefer this over the Sacred Sword. I don't like flooding my deck with loads of equip spells, because it's like, why play 4 equip spells that, yes, some of them can help me extend, but some of them can't. So this you want to be sending off of Isolde, but because the deck no longer relies on Isolde, if you open this, it is a nice form of extension to let you extend a little bit further. I then got the one rotor, you know, search out pretty much 80% of all your monsters, so you have to play it. And then finally got the one Pot of Avarice. This, it can easily be in place of Daigusto Emerald in the extra deck. So I don't play Daigusto Emerald in the extra deck, which kind of cuts my consistency of the hand loop down. But like I said, I'm not really going for the hand loop. My idea is VFD, lock my opponent out, make sure I've got all my back row set up and going and go from there. So you can take this card out if you want to, but I've had to put it in here to give me some like late game recyclability. Putting the 5 cards back and then drawing 2, not only can it help your hand loop, but it can also help the consistency of your actual plays going afterwards. You do put a lot of resource into the board, so you do have to know when to stop. And then once you know that point, that's where you can hold back, maintain your advantage. Then if your opponent does open up the absolute nuts and breaks your board, you still have a way to come back from it as well. So this can easily be taken out, put the deck back down to 42, and then you put Daigusto Emerald in the extra deck. And I'll show you when we get to the extra deck now, what I would put in place of, or what I would put Daigusto Emerald in for. So we'll start off with the Synchros. You got the one Naturia Beast and the one Xian. So you can actually get these both on board quite nicely. You can pretty much full lock down your opponent. The only thing you fear right now is Dark Lord no more. So you VFD, you shut your opponent down. You then go into your end turn. Your end turn can be a VFD plus a Nat Beast plus a Xian if you've had enough to loop. Then what you do is you use your VFD to shut your opponent down for the entire turn. If they do Dark Ruler you, you at least know that your monsters are all going to stay on the board unless they have like a Lightning Storm or some form of board wipe, because they can't attack with VFD locking them all down. That being said, if these do get destroyed, these are probably the two of the most powerful. This one deals with all spells, and in this one you just save him for any trap. So the main trap you want to be hitting would be something like Imperm on Nat Beast or an Evenly Matched. So you've got to kind of read your opponent on that census as to whether you think they're going to be, they're like trying to bait you or what. So that's kind of the route you play. Obviously the hand loop is a lot more successful in dealing with any threat your opponent might have unless they top deck some form of out. But you do put a lot into it. So it's risk and reward. And then got the one Omega to compete with the hand loop as well. Alongside the one Trishula, it is now at 1. And the one Ravenous Crocker Dragon Arceus. This card's actually really, really good. So the route that I see it with is if I'm not going for the hand loop for my opponent, I'm going to go with this. Because this lets me draw 2 new cards, because 9 to 10, when you're making this, you're actually going to make it with 3 monsters, 1 tuner and then 2 non-tuners. So this is very, very consistent to get you the draws. And then if you do leave him on the board, rarely you will, you'll actually use him as fodder to make VFD, you just rip your opponent, you just go discard 2, pop 1. So it lets you get cards you don't want in your hand into the graveyard. But like I said, Trish is more offensive because you rip 1 from your opponent's hand, and if you rip the right card, good, their game is over. If you don't, the risk and reward hasn't been worth it. Whereas with Ravenor, at least you get to draw 2, so you get to replenish your hand. Now they could be free extenders, they could be more True Kings, they could be anything you need. They are both waters, but the idea is, with this, you actually have more of a possibility to make this draw 2, and those extenders can lead you into a Trish, than making Trish first that leads into the Ravenous. So this one would lead into Trish more, not the other way around, which is why I kind of like to play the pair of them. Pair of them work just as well. I'm just saying I would right now rather go for this and then Trish rather than Trish then this. For the XYZs, we only play the one rank 4, which is the Shadow of 6CN. So you can play more rank 4s, and like I said, you probably play Daigusto Emerald as your first route, or your next one in. But your plays aren't really with your XYZs, apart from your level 9s, which is Phantom Fortress, Enter Blafnia, and True King of All Calamities. Now through the combo I explained and haven't actually shown you yet, because I'll save that for you guys, you can end your board on both of these. So if like this is best case scenario, your best case scenario could be VFD, stops an Nibiru. Then you can make Trish, rip 1 from your opponent's hand. Make Enter Blafnia, rip another 1 from your opponent's hand. Make Omega, rip another 1 from your opponent's hand. Now if you've managed to rip their Dark Rulers, the game is over. They cannot win the next turn. There is no way. Because you would, True King of All Calamities, shut them down completely. You've ripped 3 from your hand. You've got an Omega coming back. So even if they like evenly match you, you leave yourself with a VFD. They can't clear it. They can't destroy it. You're then going to bring back an Omega the next turn. You're swinging for a guaranteed 58 during your opponent's turn, not to mention anything else you can have to bring back your board, and they're going to be playing with 3 cards left in their hand. So they're not going to be able to do an awful lot for you. Moving on to the Link monsters, we've got a lot of Link 2s, which is great. The Bujinki Amishima is another one you can actually take out. But in a build like this, I actually really, really like it because it helps you. It helps you so much. So if you use a True King and pop another True King that isn't going to get itself back from hand or get you another one to hand, like all you need to do is, for example, let's say you use Mariamne. Mariamne pops a True King. Let's say it pops Lithosagan with no other targets, right? You then add your Barastos. All you then need to do is get 2 Kizans on the board, link them into Amishima. Amishima will then let you special summon the Barastos from hand and the Lithosagan from grave, so it gives you another route to your VFD or Enter Blafnia. Now, obviously, the biggest issue with this, let me just double check this. Yeah, so it doesn't have to go to a zone it points to. But the biggest issue with this is it can't be used as link material. So you either need to make sure that it goes into a zone a link monster points to, or you need to make sure that it's one of the things you put on the board that gets cleared off with your Shunai and Mizuho. So that's very, very cautious, which is why you could arguably take this out. I just like the fact that it allows me to turn, technically, a rank 4 into a rank 9, because you put 2 level 4s together, make this, and then make the rank 9 a VFD. So it's a personal tech of mine, and it comes down to personal preference as to whether or not you keep it in or not. We then got Double Battle Shogun again. This could be cut down to 1. I was considering to do that just to get the Dagusto Emerald in here, but I've kept it at 2 purely because it is that good. Now, once you've resolved it once, the second copy, in my opinion, is dead. You're not going to really want to put your resources into it unless you're trying to link climb for a specific reason. That being said, if the first one does get stopped, you need a second one to keep going because you need to search that gateway unless you open it. And that's where the VFD kind of protection combo comes into play in order to protect it, to make sure that this always goes through. So arguably, if you can do that on a consistent basis, you could cut this down to 1 because then you're not worried about it getting stopped. We then got the Crystron Halifibrax. Yeah. No longer needle fiber. No. This is actually really, really good. So you make this with a Fuma and then any other monster, or if you open it up, the Shien Squire, and then it allows you to get the Fuma or the Shien Squire from the deck. So the Shien Squire helps with your hand loops and your Nat Beast plays and your Synchro plays, and then the Fuma can also help with your Synchro plays, but it is there as very, very good pop fodder. So let's say, for example, you open up Squire and Kizan. You normal summon Squire, or you get both of them on board. You then link them together to make Halifibrax. Halifibrax then special summons Fuma from deck. You then, if you have a Mariamne in hand, go Mariamne, pop Needle Fiber, pop Fuma, and then your combo gets to go from there. Very, very specific, very, very rare, but it just gives you an example of what it can do. Plus it is a water, so you could use Barastos and summon it. Isolde, we all know why this is important. In this version, 9 out of 10. In the hand loop version, you want to be special summoning out your level 4s. In this version, you actually want to special summon out your Fuma, because by doing that, you get to play less equipped spells that brick your deck down, and you pop the Fuma, and you get the level 4 anyway, so your combo gets to go from there. And then for the Link 4s, you've got the 1 Saruja Skulldread and the 1 Appaloosa. Now again, Skulldread is one of the ones that, the extra is so tight in this build. That's the biggest issue with it, is the extra is so tight that I had to make the sacrifice and only play Saruja at 1. Now, you can do the loops, you can do the plays with it at 1, it just means you have to recycle him a little bit more consistently, but he can also help you get into your VFD plays as well. The biggest issue that I kind of found was fitting him in, so I've got Appaloosa, which I kind of want to end my board on. Like, my end board, I want it to be as good as I can possibly be. So you're looking at VFD plus Appaloosa plus Nat Beast plus Shien, plus ripping cards from your opponent's hand as well, and maybe an Enter Blafnia. So you've got a lot to play around with. The Saruja helps you extend that, and you can easily put it at 2. Again, like I said, the first card that comes to mind to take out for that is the General, to cut it down to 1, because I want to make that consistency factor as quickly and as easy as I possibly can to protect him. Call by the Grave is great to put into the deck, but I feel that my route to VFD is better and more consistent than hoping to open up a Call by the Grave. And that's just my personal opinion on it. So, that is it for the deck profile. I hope this helps. I hope it's given you an idea of the True Kings. I did get asked the other day, can this deck still operate under Master Rule 5 with one diagram? Yes, by heck it can. So thanks for watching. I hope this gave you a couple of tips and techs for your own personal build. Like I said, if this video gets 50 likes, at least I will bring you a test hand combo video for the deck as well to show you the full power and glory of True King 6 Samurai. For now, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and until next time guys, as always, happy dueling. So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZW Games 5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below.